Hey there, future pilots. Are you just now starting to prepare for the written exam? Are you trying to get through all those books and purchase all the fancy tabs and still struggling to make sense of this? Well, I have good news for you. There is a better, more efficient and smarter way to prepare, and if you work with Jet with Joe, you'll be able to access all the wonderful resources that help you to get to the flying part faster. And yes, studying can be overwhelming. There is a lot that you'll have to study. However, luckily we have Sheppard Air, and that is one of the best kept secrets, well, at least for those who don't know that Sheppard Air exists. And why? Well, because it's designed to help you master the material in shortest amount of time. And it's not only about giving you correct answers and not only about memorizing the questions. There is a lot more inside that tool, and I'll happily tell you all about that. So, Sheppard Air comes with a large database of all the questions, and those guys update those questions weekly. And not only you have the questions and answers, but also you have that follow-up reading material. You have explanation why that answer is correct, and that gives you some leads on what do you go and study next if you really want to get down to the bottom of the question. But the second thing is the algorithm that the Sheppard Air has. It allows you to dismiss the questions that are simple for you and mark those questions where you need to study more. So you're not trying to drink from a fire hose, you are limiting the scope that you need to study only to what matters for you. And then they have a pretty smart algorithm, and you will be reminded to use that algorithm exact every time you run the Sheppard Air, and that is the best thing there is in the tool. It's a simple yet very powerful algorithm how to explore, study, understand and memorize the questions. With all that, there is, they claim 95% plus pass rate on the first time. I think that really is higher in reality. I have all my tests done with the Sheppard Air, and I was able to get all of them above 95%. That not only helped me to get the better scores, I actually learned a lot as I was preparing using the Sheppard Air. Well, let's look at how do you use Sheppard Air. First, of course, you purchase and install the software on your computer, and you have to pick the device that you'll be using. You can't switch it later in your study course. Second, you go through the learning mode. You go through all the questions. First, you only see the correct answer, then you see all of them and you get to choose. And you look at all the questions in sections, and so that helps you to stay organized. And then you go to the final selection stage. That's their secret sauce. When you're going through the questions, you will be marking what's difficult, and at the end that will leave you with only those questions that you really need to focus. Out of all 1,000 maybe questions, you may be left with only 50 or 60 that are really difficult and worth studying. Once you go through those and get your difficult questions down to a bare minimum, then you go into the test mode, and then you'll be able to self-evaluate yourself. How well are you doing? Now, in my experience, I haven't done that test more than once, sometimes maybe twice. There is no value in retesting yourself if you're not meeting the 90%, and Sheppard Air is telling you about that. Don't simply go in and test hoping to see a good score. What instead you do is you relearn all the questions and mark what's difficult, learning, reading and memorizing those questions as appropriate. So you still have to study, but you are looking at the smaller batch of questions, not all of them. And when you're done, you just schedule exam, and trust me, from my experience, you'd be very unlucky if you get anything below 90%. Well, time for the final pro tips for the Sheppard Air. To make the most out of your time, first of all, do that regularly. If you only have 30 minutes a day, do that 30 minutes. Still, 10 days later, you'll be a whole 300 minutes into this study. But it would be better if you spend 1 or 2 hours every single day on this. Second, some questions may not make sense, and the Sheppard Air does note where the correct FAA answer is not what's really logical or what's really correct. Just memorize them. Don't overthink. There are some questions that are not worth killing yourself over, and instead just go and memorize them. Absolutely have to use the missed questions feature. And in my experience, I would mark what's difficult, not necessarily what I got wrong, but if I guessed, if you read the question and you really like 50-50 on your answer, mark it. That means you have to study. After all, you are learning, you are studying to become a pilot and not somebody who can guess the correct answer. And last but not least, when you run that practice test, set yourself a timer and make sure you don't drag that for the whole day. Normally, you should be done within an hour, maybe hour and a half. FAA gives you, I believe, 2.5 hours, depending on the test. There's no reason that you would need that much. Well, and when your day comes, when you're ready, ready to go hit that test, you schedule an exam, show up, bring your government photo ID, you bring your endorsement, do check on the latest FAA guidance. Some tests do not require endorsements, some do, and go through those 100 or 60 or depending on the test questions. If you see, now my advice, let's all help the Sheppard Air to become better, to have the most correct answers. If you notice a question that you have never seen, try to memorize it, and when you're back, email that to the Sheppard Air. That's how we all help that system to be top-notch and the most helpful tool that we all use here to prepare for the written exams. And the moment you're done answering your last question, you hit the complete button, you walk out of the room, and you get your perfect score handed to you immediately. And if you did all those steps correct, if you're using the Sheppard Air as they are telling you to use it, you'll be smiling looking at your 95+% score. And I'm happy for you that you're with us. Please subscribe, and that, once you're done with the test, that frees you up for the next part, either the next test or the flying part. And hey, enjoy, and we'll see you in the skies.